And we're back, theoretically speaking. My OBS software decided to crash on me, which was rude as hell. Hopefully, have not lost too many people from that. Knock on wood. RSI Crusader software. Okay, reiterating where I left off. There is a privateer variant that will replace the Dragonfly bays with vendor shops. How that's going to work, who knows? But just the primary function of being able to carry multiple spacecraft, that's what makes the Kraken a ship worth keeping an eye on. Now, I don't know if we have anything different on the other side, but I'm kind of guessing... Ah, here we go. That's right. I keep forgetting. Over here we have the Drake Vulture. And what that basically is indicating that... Ooh, gee. Vulture. Scavenger. Salvaging. And that is what this is for. It's a small... I think it's a one-man salvager, which is completely in keeping with the philosophy of Drake. When that's going to get in the game, your guess is as good as mine. But they keep talking about possibly seeing Tier 0 salvaging at the end of the year or so. So it's perfectly possible that we might be seeing the Vulture show up. What we will be seeing, however, is this vessel, Drake's answer to the Carrack, the Corsair. Like the Carrack, it is going to be an exploration vessel. Whether or not that's going to be really impressive or not, hard to say. But it is a Drake design, so I expect that it will be interesting. Okay, well, now that we've taken a look at the showroom, we've seen the rental shop, I think it's time we take a little spin with some of those Drake ships. Which means I gotta hoof it all the way to the far end of the hangar here. Run, Chorus, run! Clearly, this is one of the docking bays they use for 890s. Because, man, I am running all the way around. Oh, how about that? And some of the rental kiosks are right here. So if you don't feel like touring the Drake Hall, you can just go right in here, go to one of the rental areas, take a look at any one of the ships in here, and they've got a lot of them. Got your alien ships, you've got your non-combat ships. Pretty much the entire inventory available currently in Star Citizen. Likely including some ships that are not on... Oh, no, I guess they are all the ones that are on the list. I don't think they're having any special variants on here, like the... do they have the Saber Comet in here? Well, they got the Gladius Valiant, so... Yeah, so even the more exotic ships that you can't ordinarily rent, that's here too. So let's hit the elevator. Now what I'm going to do next is I'm actually not going to fly the Drake ships out of here. And the reason for that is these ships will have the default equipment, which will include the default quantum drives. And that means slow travel. So we're going to take a different ship to get back to Hurston. And we're going to Hurston because that's where all the combat missions are hiding. Strangely, you don't find a lot of bounty hunting kind of missions around Microtech. Boggles me, but there you have it. So we're going to grab my Mercury, which I've got one of the better quantum drives on. And we'll take it out for a spin. Thing or 10. Now, I've been reading that one of the reasons that some of these ramp bugs have been happening, like the graphic demonstration I showed earlier with the Cutlass Red, is because of wandering around the ship while you're in quantum. Maybe that's true, maybe that's not. I like to stroll around in my ships, so I'm guessing that maybe. In any event, that means I want to be sitting tight in my ship until we reach Hurston. Now, the devs are trying to figure out where that bug is hiding. Hopefully they'll stomp it out at some point soon. That said, there are a lot more important bugs to deal with right now, like the occasional vanishment of personal equipment. Some folks have discovered upon logging in that all their armor that they had equipped, any clothing they had equipped, any weapons they had equipped, all went poof. And I can confirm that because this happened to me too. Twice. I kind of got lucky this morning. I'm kind of surprised that I still have all my equipment on. Why would I taunt fate like that? Ours is not the reason why. Raise his hand. Yeah, Legend has commented to me a couple times that his equipment has done the great goodbye a number of times already. If you want to talk about bugs that should be smashed, that is a bug that needs to be smashed. I can work around the whole thing with the ramps. Yeah, the patch notes, they said they were missing with long-term persistence. From this patch on, this is an issue. Well, you just gotta remember, you gotta speak the Star Citizen mantra. It's an alpha. It's an alpha. It's an alpha. Helps calm me down all the time. Because there are times when it drives me nuts. But you gotta recognize the little details. Yeah, Alpha Life. The only reason we tolerate all these bugs. On the other hand, I gotta say it. Without these bugs, the highlight section of my Twitch channel would be very bare. Just about every Star Citizen highlight I've got on my channel came about because of a bug happening. It's entertainment at its finest. So once we get to the 11-kilometer distance, we'll be able to hop out. Worst is losing the Moby Glass. Oh, you are not kidding on that one. For those who are unfamiliar, the Moby Glass is this doohickey, where we've got basically a bunch of tabs where we can monkey with chat, equipment, personal equipment, skyline map, which I'm going to make use of right now because that was half the point of me coming in here. Set my route to Hurston. Something that will allow you to trade credits and prison merits. Contract manager, vehicle maintenance, journal, which has some data that's useful, and the new reputation tab. And of course, the little detail like how much money you have. All of this is lost with the Moby Glass bug, which is, and of course, since if you don't have the Moby Glass, you're screwed. That's the kind way of putting it. If a gender change doesn't work, then it's reset time. Yeah, sometimes you can get around the Moby Glass bug by changing the gender or messing with some manner of your personal appearance in the character customizer. But it doesn't always work. And at that point, you're more or less stuck doing character resets. Now, that said, character resets are not anywhere near as horrible as they used to be. In fact, I did a character reset 2 or 3 days ago to get back some loaner vehicles for one of my ships. And I didn't lose anything more than I'd already lost to the armor personal equipment bug. So all things considered, that reset went really well for me. And then the next day I wake up with no clothes on.
Quantum travel engaged.
Bugs happen. Now, the Star Runner is a personal favorite of mine. I'm using the Fortuna skin on it because I happen to enjoy having the green coloration, and it kind of fits the theme of my character, really. I don't think there's an online game I've played as Korath that I haven't had green as a prominent color for the character. Long story. The paint job is not available in-game. It only was available during the St. Paddy's Day sale. Prior to that, green tended to go with a couple other vehicles. The Constellations, Phoenix, I believe, specifically. Let's see, I remember being invisible with no movie glass and following people into their ships and beating them until they died taking their ship. Didn't get far with no suit on. Well, that's an unexpected bonus of having a missing movie glass. Well, now I know what to do the next time I happen to have a missing movie glass. Yeah, you felt bad. Well, it's good to have a conscience there, Warlock. Yeah, the Cuddy has a cool green paint job, too. I think that one came about from Halloween, didn't it? Halloween Creepy Green something or other. I can't remember when the Cutlass one comes out, since I, don't fly. Cutlass is ghoulish, thank you. And yes, it was then. Okay, I couldn't recall for sure. It's been a while since Halloween. And I believe the Tumbril Cyclone MT also came with a green paint job this last St. Paddy's Day. Paints are beginning to be a big thing on the RSI store. You can get some of them in game, but most of them are off the RSI store. I was able to get the Connie last year for Paddy's Day. Nice. Now, one of the problems I have with the Connie Phoenix Emerald and with the Expedition Carrack is that they're basically paint job changes. And it seems to be asking a lot from people to be buying a ship solely. Well, let me ask you this. Can you change the paint job on the Emerald? Yeah, it's nothing really special. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that the Phoenix Emerald is pretty much identical to the Phoenix. And I don't know if you can swap the paint jobs. Oh, did I just hit something? Or am I going to hit something? Sometimes you stop your quantum jump. Ah! An actual pirate! Well, it's been a long time since I've been stopped by a pirate between planets. This is new. Well, not new, it's old, but it's been forever since I've had this happen. And it's flying a Buccaneer, no less. Nope, multiples. I wonder if these are players. It seems unlikely because I'm seeing two names. Usually if they're players, they tend to be, let's call it, more generic. If I were smart right now, I'd be chucking missiles at these guys.
Target destroyed.
Well, that's not exactly a stellar endorsement of the Buccaneer. Thank you for the follow, Warlock. I hope you enjoy the stream here today. I also stream Wednesday evenings doing Star Trek Online, so if you wanted to see what that game is like, that's my second stream day of the week. That said, I very, very much enjoy Star Citizen. We've got a Mantis here. That's probably how come I got dropped out of Quantum. They've got the whole quantum entanglement device.
Target destroyed.
And that takes care of those little annoyances. Stop me from going about here. I have but one regret. one single regret. And that regret is I didn't grab the call to arms mission first. Oops. Okay, well, unfortunately, I need to get closer to Hurston if I want to get to Ever's Harbor. And Ever's Harbor is where I want to be because that's a great home base if you're planning on swapping fighters. And I do plan to swap fighters. Alright. Ever's Harbor, Ever's Harbor. Where are we hiding? There we are. And naturally, it's on the wrong side of the planet. Let's see. Orbital marker. Alright. For those who are unfamiliar with orbital markers, they are a very handy way of getting around a planet if you can't get the computer to give you a proper course. The key things to remember is that OM1 is the planet or moon's north pole, OM2 is the south pole, and the remaining orbital markers circumnavigate the equator. So that is your helpful tip of the day. I went in deep on the game and made Wing Commander status in less than a year. Hey, you will see no shaming here. I hit Concierge far earlier than I had any right to. I regret nothing. I'm enjoying the hell out of this game, even if in its alpha status. And I will admit that the COVID pandemic might have had a bit of an influence on things. There was a lot of things I would ordinarily buy during the year that I didn't because COVID. I certainly saved on gasoline money like crazy. You're on a temporary layoff, otherwise I would have bought a Polaris or something else. Well, the good news is Polaris isn't hull limited anymore, so you will certainly have no trouble getting a hold of it when your financial situation stabilizes in a positive manner. That's fairly recent change. They just changed that up this year. Just about a week and a half ago, they said that Polaris was no longer hull limited. So I imagine there was a substantial run on the Polarises. Just collecting the paints and grabbing the F7 Wildfires and the Scorpius. Solid choices. Solid choices. I'm holding off on Scorpius. I thought about Scorpius. It's the new concept ship from RSI. Basically, it's an X-Wing. Maybe I shouldn't say that on stream. Let's just say that it's awfully similar to a couple of X-shaped vehicles from a number of well-known sci-fi franchises. I'm bad. But I decided to hold off. There were a couple other things I wanted to take care of during Invictus. Scorpius can wait, if I decide to go that route. Don't need every ship in the game. Gotta leave something to buy in-game in the future. That said, there are ships I wanted to get a hold of because I wanted the insurance on them. Now, I'm not entirely sure when the Polaris is going to be hitting flight ready status. Scorpius, on the other hand, I believe is scheduled either for the end of this year or the beginning of next. So Scorpius will be making its appearance sooner rather than later. It'd be nice to use something other than the Vanguard all the time. Yeah, I guess you could technically also fly the Hurricane. I think the Hurricane's labeled as a heavy ship. But I'm not really fond of the feel of it. Your wife, who must love you very much, helped you grab a Perseus. It is good to have an understanding spouse. There's thing on there was something I found on Reddit somewhere along the line that said that RSI, the CIG folks, would make a great deal of extra money if they included a for an extra $5, $10, $15 for everything, that they would include a physical receipt for whatever you told your wife you bought with that money. I thought, yeah, that would be genius. All right, once we get to the vehicle retrieval terminals, we can take the next step, which is flying some of these Drake starships. Now, granted, this particular elevator takes a while because it's covering about 5 kilometers. Okay, you've been yelled at plenty of times. Yeah, that's a hazard. That's a hazard. Alrighty, vehicle retrieval terminals. And go to the Drake Bucket. Why do I have 2 Buccaneers? Where did the second one come from? I don't think I have a loan. What do I have that would use that as a loaner? I know I didn't buy it in game. I mean, it's Drake. I don't do that. She's happy for now. She brought herself a Jeep Wrangler about a week ago. You can lie low and buy ships. That's what marriage is all about. Being able to mesh together. Pad 7. So, let's scroll, pad 7, and let's bring up, where do I have my, here we go, currently flying. Let's see what we can do. Oh, whoops, do I still have that up there? I meant to replace that in my currently flying box. I'll take care of that in a minute. There we are, 100 meters, and done. Alright, Drake Buccaneer. Time to take a look and see what it's got. Enter the ship through the side here. Seating cockpit here, the design of the displays. It's pretty typical of Drake's usual design philosophy. We'll take a quick glance. We've got 4 missiles on here. They are size 2 missiles, both cross-sectionals. And one is a proximity explosion, and one is, if I hit your hole, I'll blow up. So this might actually be the smart way to start. Guns? We got guns. We got lots of guns. We got a couple energy weapons, and plenty of ballistics. I'm going to put them all in the same weapon group, because, well, I'm lazy. Now, the best way to measure the performance of the Buccaneer is obviously by killing things. So we're going to hop over to the Bounty Hunter list here, and why don't we put it to the test right away with one of the very high risk threats. And then, because I forgot to do so earlier, I'm going to go into my mercenary and always take the call to arms. I will set my course for my preferred target. And we'll take off. And I want to get clear of this side of the planet here because it's kind of hard to get a good look at the ship when you're on the shadow side of everything. So let's get clear before I third-person view it to take a wider look at the Buccaneer. As far as designs go, Buccaneer's got a good design. I mean, it's got those two extremely oversized engines. It's got the really big Gatling up top there. That will hurt when it hits. As well as the guns pointed out earlier. Oh. My free look is going crazy on me. Oh yeah, before I get any further, let's update the currently flying list. I'm pretty sure I'm spelling it correctly. Been getting into the C788 cannons. Those would be the laser repeaters, yes? The hefty sized repeaters, if I recall correctly. No, of course, no, you're talking cannons, not repeaters. I'm slow sometimes, and they're ballistic. So, in other words, I swung and missed completely. I'm a fan of ballistics, really. I like the fact that the lasers don't require ammo recharges. Well, reloads, you know, that kind of thing. They don't run out of ammo. But ballistics are so solid. Plus, they tend to be pretty vicious on a ship, regardless of their shields. Unless, you know, you're flying one of those alien ships that are completely immune to ballistics. Yeah, torn between reloading and not having to. I understand completely. It's worth noting that there are no gimbals on the Buccaneer, so you are using fixed weaponry on here. I don't think that anyone flying one of these will argue with leaving the gimbals off, because this means they get to have the bigger guns. Now we are going up against a Vanguard Warden, or as I like to think of it, Dead Man Walking. Put the top turret mod on yours. There's a mod on the Buccaneer? Didn't realize that. Then again, I so rarely fly Drake ships that, of course, I wouldn't be familiar with the nuts and bolts. I know you could do that with the Hornets. And have done. But I didn't know that you could do that with the Buccaneer. Useful to know, useful to know. Okay, my target is aware of my presence. Must have a lousy scanner range on this ship. Up, and he's got friends now. That figures. Okay, let's start unloading on him. Oh, that first pass went ugly for him. Oh. One of those guys is flying a Hurricane. Or maybe a Cutlass. There we go. One down and multiple to go. Hurricane, I knew it. Been mixing distortions a lot for now. Distortions are back in the game, so to speak. There was a period of time where distortions were nerfed heavily. They seem to be back in vogue. One of these days, I am really going to have to mess around with distortion weapons. I've been kind of sticking solidly with lasers or ballistics, but I haven't really done a whole lot in the way of, say, like neutrons or scatterguns or, as you say, distortions. Somewhere along the line, I really need to do that because, well, I don't want to be in a rut. I have no complaints with the firepower of the Buccaneer right now. One of the big complaints about it that I had last time I'd gone flying one of these was the fact that the weapons overheated like crazy. That seems to not be an issue anymore. Now that said, I'm also not overloading my guns either. Maybe I'd have a different opinion if I were overloading, because most of the guns I fire on most ships tend to start complaining when I overclock them. Sorry, overload, overclock, I keep using the terms interchangeably. Oh. Do I use joystick hostage? No, I am pretty much strictly a mouse keyboard guy. I've been doing mouse and keyboard for so long that, honestly, my definition of using a joystick is the old Atari VCS joysticks. You know, the ones that are one button on the base and 8 directions. I'm old school. Legend runs attritions on the 4s and 1s, distortions on the 3s, and is complaining about bounties these days. Well, you know, when you're hunting player bounties, you gotta expect that they're going to try to hide out at some point. Just be grateful that they took Levski out of the game. Then you'd have them running and hiding to Levski as well as Hex, and you'd have to guess. Oh, right. Oh, and looks like the bounty... it sounds like your bounty is kind of floating in space right now, Legend, according to chat. You've got a wheel for racing and hate taking it down when you're done using it, so sticks is just another setup takedown. Yeah, if you're used to monkeying around with that kind of thing, I can understand that. And let's give credit where credit is due. Dual sticks is probably the way to play Star Citizen, at least when it comes to flying ships, because, well, they're sticks. That's how you fly. However, sticks have taken a bit of a beating, shall we say, as far as prices go, meaning they keep going up thanks to the pandemic and certain microchip shortages. That has caused problems. Let's grab another bounty. Let's prove that this wasn't a fluke. If I'm really lucky, we'll get a Valkyrie spawn. Because that's what I really want to test this thing against. Someone threw a quantum beacon down. That was Chris's vision, seeing Mad Cats and C-Tech were in a collaboration with him at one point, making sticks in Hosta. I didn't think he really got into the hardware side of things. Didn't think it took off. Yeah, I haven't heard anything about that, but to be fair, I generally haven't really paid too much attention to the peripherals when it comes to advances. I'm lazy. I use my keyboard and my mouse, and we're not talking high-tech keyboards and mice either. We're talking, it came with my computer. Well, that's not 100% true. My mouse is a wireless mouse. That's as far as that's high-tech as I've gone with this. I am old and set in my ways. Oh yeah, an AMD Racing Mustang and Intel SSD chip. Ah yes, in fact I was talking to someone associated with the org I'm in, has been flying around the Mustang Omega a lot lately. I can't remember what the Intel SSD chip was. Legend likes an X56, but you can only get them paired with a throttle, and he's dual stick. Yeah, you guys are way more hardware intensive than I am, that's for certain. Thing is, though, the people who have those, you got a significant advantage. You guys make these ships dance. Saber. Okay, Saber Raven. There you go. That's the one. Okay, thank you there. Once we had the base ship nailed down, I could work my way through the rest of the typing there. I like the Saber Raven design. It's a very cool design. That's kind of the thing I regret most about it being a hardware exclusive. But, you know, c'est la vie. I'm not going to lose all that much sleep. Who am I coming up against? It is a Valkyrie. Awesome. Time to either kick butt or have my butt kicked. Legend's tired of waiting on bounties, so he's going to pick on hammerheads. Sooner or later, I'll get to the point where I have hammerheads as targets. I just don't have them now. Oops. Didn't start dodging early enough. And now we're having lots of ships putting lots of bullet holes in me. Valkyrie is... decent. The Valkyrie is a drop ship, or at least that's what it's labeled as. And it's got lots and lots of guns to play with. So as a result, oh, that was a little close. As a result, it can have a lot of weapons brought to bear on me at the same time. That said, I am doing a marvelous job on his shields for most of it. And if I'm doing a marvelous job on his shielding, then it won't be long before I'm doing a marvelous job on his hull. Unfortunately, they're doing a marvelous job on me too, so change that things up a little bit. And there goes the primary bounty. Time to kill his friends. Thinking about requesting the Raven through concierge support. Well, it's worth a try. Not sure if it has a standalone price. Yeah, I don't know if it's got one either. It doesn't hurt to ask. I mean, the worst they could do is say no. And then you're no worse off now than you were before. I would like to see that design or something similar enough to it. Somewhere along the line in the game, but they've got plenty of ships in the pipeline that they need to really get through first. Would really, really like to see some of those older ships start making appearances. When I say older, I mean older concept ships. I'm looking forward to seeing the Taurus come in, for example. Star Hangar has it for $268, so it has a value. Now that's interesting. I wonder, that seems kind of, honestly, it seems kind of low for a pretty rare ship. I feel like that would probably retail substantially higher. But then again, maybe they can only go so far before gaining the attention of the folks at CIG and making them come down on third-person cell sites. Third-party cell sites, I should say. Kraken, Corsair, Reclaimer, Banu, Merchantman, Orion. Legend owns a lot of ships that don't exist. I get that. There is a $180 package on there, but you have to contact support to activate it. And we have the Streamlabs doing me the favor of shilling my account. If you are watching this stream and do not already have a Star Citizen account, and you like what you see, and you have the hardware specs to handle it, let's always remember that, you can use that link there to create an account in Star Citizen. It will use my referral code, which will net you and me a little bit of extra UEC. To be fair, it's not a huge amount of UEC. You can make the UEC in one mission easily. But having is better than not having. Warlock is off to lunch. Take care. Safe travels. You too, Warlock. Thank you for joining. Hope to see you again sometime. And Legend is apparently enjoying the magic of multiple hammerheads in the same site. Stay tuned. His next comment is probably going to be, "Oh no, I'm dead!" Let's hope that's not the case. Now, the one thing I don't like about Drake are the radar displays. They're basically 2D radar displays, and that means I don't have a good 3D representation. I have to understand that anything between the inner and outer ring is probably behind me, or thereabouts. It's been a long time since I've worried about 2D radar devices, so I have to readjust my thinking. So I think that we're going to put a verdict on the Buccaneer and say it is a worthy fighter to be flying. Is it the best light fighter out there? In terms of firepower, I'm going to say definitely. Nothing really comes close to it. Part of it's that big gun up top that helps a lot. Reasonably maneuverable, reasonably quick. No complaints with the Buccaneer performance, especially now that the weapons aren't overheating at the drop of a hat. Let's get communications window open. Here we go. I think I'm still have a preference for, say, the Arrow because, well, it's more fighter crafty in my eyes. It's very fast and maneuverable, and I like that sort of thing. But the Buck has got the guns. Can't really argue with that. So we're going to take the Buccaneer down for a landing, and then we're going to grab that other ship that was referred to earlier that we rented from Draycon. And of course, landing pad's over here. And of course, it's on the opposite side. Because why would the folks at Hurston Security, or more accurately, Everest Port Authority, why would they make it easy and simple? Oh, and I'm being scanned. I wonder if they remembered that I kind of ignored one of the scans a number of days ago. Then again, I did do a character reset, so... Yeah, if you're still watching, Warlock, we'll just do a quick pop-up here. If you're interested in our org, go ahead and hit that link. Take a look around, see if we're a decent fit. Okay, I think he said I was free to go. Boy, I'm glad I was paying attention there. I almost went right through him. He would deserve it. At least, I guess the last time that I ignored them didn't quite take because of my character reset, probably. Knock on wood. Because last time, about a few days ago, I was flying around trying to be polite. Got announced they wanted to scan me. I stayed put. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. I got fed up and left. And of course, I got charged with evading scans. It was all I could do not to turn around and start shooting. I had other business. I wasn't really motivated. I think I might have been flying my Hercules at the time, trying to transport a tank. So that is the Buccaneer. But now it's time to take a look at the other Drake combat vessel that I rented up, the Cutlass Blue. So let's swap out my currently flying list here. Oh. There we go. I almost called it the Drake Blue. Not the full name. Must name them properly. Meanwhile, we will enjoy our 5-kilometer trip on this elevator. You might think it takes an abnormally long time to travel in this thing, but honestly, we're traveling 5 kilometers in an elevator in seconds. Come on, give these guys a break. The only way it'd be faster is if it was using Star Trek transporters. Alright then, it's time to go blue. Let's hope that everything's working. And we're waiting, and we're waiting. There we go, pad 2. What, do they have to sweep off the landing pad? Pad 2. Incidentally, in case I haven't mentioned it before, or if you missed last week's presentation, in addition to the well, actually, I'm not sure. Well, no, I'm pretty sure I saw signage indicating it was still going on. The Invictus fleet is still in the neighborhood of Stanton, and doing tours of the Javelin destroyer. And if you fly around on the outside, you can possibly catch a look at the Bengal carrier, the largest starship in Star Citizen. You cannot buy the Bengal. Yes, here we go. By Genie Point right now on this server, at least. The flyby is in progress, and the tour is still available. So go to the station there once this thing switches over again. On the bottom right, it'll tell you where it's docked. So you go into the elevator, you select, say, Security Port C. It'll take you down to that docking area, and you will be able to take a look at some of the interior for the biggest playable ship in the game. Okay, Cutlass Blue. Cutlass Blue design is, well, the standard Cutlass design. It doesn't have those big track doors like the Black does, but it does have those airlocks on the side. Now you'll see we've got these alternating blue and red colors on here. Those are police lights. Bobby Ray, hi there, how are you doing? Welcome to my stream. I hope life's treating you okay on your side of the monitor. We are streaming Defense Con in Star Citizen today. I've rented a couple Drake starships, and the second ship that we're going to be experiencing life in is the Drake Cutlass Blue. Glad to hear things are going well for you. That's awesome news. Now, we have a small cargo bay here. I don't think it's big enough to fit a Grey Cat Rock, although I could be wrong. Maybe we'll experiment with that momentarily. The big deal is in here where you have holding cells for prisoners. They don't actually work yet. But someday, when we get to the later iterations of bounty hunting, your targets will end up in these cells where you will theoretically be able to drop them off. Maybe you'll be able to drop them off in Klesher. You're a fan of Star Citizen? Like tours like this? Well, thank you. I tried to take a look around the larger ships when I'm doing the streams on here. I don't pretend to be what you would call a professional on any aspect of builds, but I like to take a look around, and I am withholding some of my usual commentary on Drake interplanetary starships. I usually go out of my way to trash Drake interplanetary because it's kind of a hobby. But today, I am putting that all to the side, taking a look at the ships objectively, as opposed to my personal biases. Got a couple bunks over here. We've got the extra turret up here, which gives extra firepower, and once again demonstrates that Drake doesn't really care about biological functions. The Cutlass Red is the only Cutlass I know of that has a toilet to work with. Plenty of weapon racks to work with here, and the standard cockpit design. Let's see, Legend's asking if you're just a fan of Star Citizen, or are you also playing Star Citizen? In the meantime, let's power this thing on and take a look at our armament. We've got 24 missiles. All of them are size 2 cross-sectional proximity missiles. So, yeah, can't play, a laptop can't take it. Yeah, Star Citizen's biggest flaw, and I guess in some ways its strength, is that it does require a pretty hefty bit of hardware to run. It's not exactly lightweight. Okay, what we have here are a number of... Oh, that's interesting. We have a number of guns. All of them, we have basically XK2s. Those are, I believe those are distortion weapons. There's irony. Always watch YouTubes and streams like mine because you love ship tours. And thank you for the follow, Bobby. Hope you enjoy the stream here today. I also stream Star Trek Online on Wednesday nights, so if you have any interest in that sort of thing, feel free to drop by. But I obviously do Star Citizen every Saturday at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern to approximately 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern. Sometimes it goes long because things happen. I hate to stop in the middle of something. We've got 2 repeaters that are distortion weapons, which will do horrible things to people's shields. Some pair of pretty potent Gatling guns, and a little intriguing little device here called the Burke QD. The QD is a quantum disruption device, and while that's not so hot against NPC opponents, it's very handy against player opponents, in theory, because they will stop their quantum drive from activating, which means they can't run away. Well, not easily at any rate. Alright, let's take off for a minute. We'll go into third-person view for the takeoff. And what I want to do is I'll bring up the landing gear and rotate the engines and turn the lights on. That's right. You're getting the flashing blue and red lights.
Thank you.
The law is coming for you. So far, I like the Anvil ship. Any particular Anvil ship? Anvil is one of those major manufacturers in Star Citizen. They develop a whole bunch of military hardware. And there are a number of their designs I like flying quite a bit. I like flying their Carrack exploration ship. Yes, that would do it. The Explorer is the Carrack. An excellent choice. Carrack's a personal favorite of mine, too. I like to think of it as the Swiss Army knife of starships right now. When the time comes, it'll be able to do a little of everything, or close to it. You won't be able to mine with it. Although you could put a Greycat rock and do ground mining with the rock in the vehicle bay. I am a big fan of that one. Let's talk violence. Once again, we're going to grab a bounty to demonstrate the combat effectiveness of the Cutlass Blue. Now, one thing I've been disappointed by lately is the fact that I haven't gotten any North Rock bounties. The North Rock bounties are extremely high-paying, but they also involve taking out 3 different targets in 3 different locations. Still, I prefer doing those if I can. But I haven't seen any, not since Invictus kicked off at any rate. No biggie, doesn't matter. I am perfectly content to deal with the solo targets. Now, I'm primarily doing these things against AI bounties, so that's a key thing to remember. I may look like I'm a kick-butt pilot, but I'm really not. Because I'm flying against an AI opponent, and AI opponents aren't that intimidating. At least not once you've gotten some practice. Player opponents are scary as hell. Well, some of them are scary as hell. Some of them are, well, basically like me. But they will fly unpredictably, and they will outfit their ships a lot better than the NPC targets will. And of course, the biggest benefit of going against the NPC targets is they pay better. When they did the Bounty Hunter rework for how much money you get for taking out bounty targets, they really scaled up the NPC bounties, but they left the player bounties more or less static. I can see arguments for all sides on that one, because if you make the player bounties really pricey, you run the risk of some group of friends deciding to trade bounties and get really rich off of each other. So I can see the point on that one. And then you have the other side where the player is a far more dangerous animal than most AIs. So you would think that the player would be worthy of more targeting. The design of the Anvil Explorer is okay, but you don't like is the cockpit. Any particular aspect of it? It's actually one of the better cockpits out there, honestly. It doesn't have any struts that impede your view. I do have gimbals on the Cutlass Blue here, so I can let the auto-targeting help. Despite what some may tell you, auto-gimbling is not an I win button. You can still screw up. as I have demonstrated on any number of occasions. Another thing about the Anvil cockpit is that it does lack a certain something. On the original design specs, you're supposed to be able to lower a shutter over the cockpit, so in a combat situation, people can't blow out your window. But they haven't put that in the game yet. It'd be nice when they do, but I don't get the impression that's a priority. That said, there are a lot of ships that need artistic and design love. Carrot can wait. Okay. Pew, pew, pew. Oh, the sound of those distortion weapons. But I've already shredded this guy's front shield, going through the back shield, so obviously those distortion weapons are doing a pretty good job. And the ballistics, what they are here to do is go through the hull. All told, not a bad fight. But that was against Anvil Warden. Sorry, Agent Vanguard Warden. Brain freeze. The Aegis Vanguard Warden. And they're heavy fighters, but they aren't as beefy as a target as, say, the Anvil Valkyries. And I'd kind of like to match this guy up against the Valkyrie. I'm getting a note from the folks over at Delphi here, so my reputation has changed a bit. Ooh, I'm closing in on veteran guild member. Whoa, that'll be nice, because that means I'll be able to go after those hammerheads that Legend mentioned earlier. Let me check my journal. Sometimes the journal has updates. Ah, my Hurston Dynamics status is giving me 10% payment bonuses now. Good. Oops. While I'm looking through my Moby Glass, I'm getting interrupted by more hostiles. Maybe this will be a Valkyrie. No, it's a Drake Buccaneer. That's irony. See, if you're the captain, why do you have the controls on the top of the command cockpit? Okay, I get that. I'm not entirely sure how operational those controls up top are going to be when the full implementation kicks into play. Right now, there's a lot of things that are being controlled by the pilot that may not necessarily be controlled by the pilot in the future. I mean, you've got these co-pilot seats that basically do nothing right now. The intent is that they will be able to do something. Missile operator, sensors, and stuff like that. That's something in the future there, and I'm strongly suspecting that the command seat will be divorced from piloting at some point. But I couldn't even begin to guess what kind of details would be involved. And as far as why they split into 2 floors, why not? You don't really need 2 floors, but there's nothing horribly wrong with it. You're fine if you stick around with 1 floor or the other. You really don't need the 2 floors as a solo pilot. I mean, the 2nd floor is necessary if you want to get to the remote turret on the top of the ship. Yeah, overall, it is a good ship. And Legend is finding a bounty in Hurston space. Looks like he'll be flying my way soon. And because my Streamlabs bot is a shill, let's go ahead and reiterate. Right now, if you do not already have an account for Star Citizen and are interested in the game, if you click that link, you will be able to get an account with Star Citizen. It will use my referral code, which will get you a little bit of extra cash in the game, in-game cash. Let's be specific there. Does Star Citizen have third-person view? Yes, it does. It's though you can't really fly very well in third-person view, but it's basically a camera view, and I can also use a key to get rid of the chat so that you get a clear, unobstructed view, which is great for screenshots or personal videos. And camera controls, you can even do a little bit of, I've been doing the rotation, but I can also pull out, pull in. pull really in. Hi, do you know me? Oh, I don't think we need to look at my nostrils. In combat, yes, you can, but again, it is tricky because you don't have access to your heads-up display. You don't have access to seeing your stuff there. I mean, technically speaking, I'm flying right now, and I can go into combat, but you can see that I have nothing that gives me targeting information here. So, whether or not I hit my target or not would be pure luck. Which is a pity, because it would be cool to be able to do videos of your combats from a third-person view. Does most ships have automated turret targeting systems? Many of them do. Right now I've got... Basically you have... Well, actually, it'll be easier to explain if I go into my movie glass. Well, actually, let me make sure I'm not heading towards a rock first. I don't want to be concentrating on the movie glass and then suddenly find out that I've hit an asteroid. It'd be most embarrassing. We have a Drake convert. Like the ship. Nice details. What a lot of ships are going to have is they're going to have these weapons. And you'll notice over here we have a weapon right. It says something called Veripuck S3 Gimbal Mount. Now these gimbals, Legend on the other hand is a Drake fanboy. The gimbals are what allow the assisted targeting. It's not auto-targeting, but it's close. What you can do, however, is if you tear out the gimbal mounts, if you get rid of the Veripuck gimbal mounts, the downside of using the gimbal mounts is that you'll use a size lower in your weapons. So if I have a size 3 mount, it'll fit on a size 3 hardpoint on the ship. And the weapon that'll fit on it is a size 2. But if I got rid of the gimbal mount, I could fit instead a size 3. The disadvantage is that it would be a fixed weapon. When I was flying the Buccaneer earlier, in fact, I'll probably go back to the Buccaneer to demonstrate that. The Buccaneer has all fixed weapons. Yeah, why don't I do that? Let's head back to Hurston, and I'll grab that Buccaneer again. Because I think that would be a good example of the difference between the automated targeting for the turrets and the fixed guns. So let's fly back to Everest Harbor. My home away from home. But occasionally bugs happen and I need to break alignment to realign because the quantum jump drive doesn't want to play nice. On a different day, I might blame the Drake design here, but I'm being nice today. I usually go out of my way to completely trash Drake designs, but I'm being an honest and objective guy today. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if I were to, when I end the stream, I'm going to find a bunch of clips from Legend with all my complimentary comments about Drake to save for posterity. It's the most annoying bug ever especially when you're chasing a bounty. Yeah, having the quantum drive effectively stall out on you when you're chasing a bounty. And by bounty, Legend is talking about player bounties because player bounties will move around. And you really, really got to be on top of your game to get a player bounty unless they're really being lazy about it. Like I've been known to be. Not that I've had any bounties in the past on me. I would never break the law in Star Citizen. I can't say that kind of thing with a straight face. I've fiddled around on both sides of the law at any given time. Now, who would be targeting little old me? A Drake Buccaneer. And gee, what an awfully familiar name that is. Maybe I should shoot him. Okay, back to the important work of getting to a landing pad. Where's my communications? Get myself a note. There we go. Contact Everest Harbor.
Please proceed to assigned landing bay.
And there's my landing bay. I'm going to accelerate a tad because I don't want to have to wait to get to my landing pad. Because I'm lazy. I'm in a hurry. I'm an important man. Yeah, that's it. Drop the landing gear.
Landing gear go.
Or why am I not slowing down any? Did I turn off? Yeah, I turned off my coupling. That's my problem. I will VTOL my engines up, so to speak. And I don't seem to be quite where I want to be as far as the landing pad goes. Scooch, scooch, scooch.
Landing complete.
Good enough.
Landing complete. Pleasant stay.
Resistance offline.
So let's step off the blue. Oh, I did mention those side airlocks before. That's how you operate them. They're a little challenging to get in and out of, though, because they seem a little too small to fit in. They work best in 0G, because otherwise you're going to drop a fair distance and hurt yourself and land on your face. Not that I'm speaking from personal experience or anything like that. Alright. Back to the really, really, really long elevator. And with my luck, the elevator is on the... Oh, no, it's right here. How about that? Did not expect that. We are usually about 5 kilometers away from the vehicle retrieval terminal, so... Let's see. Miss playing space games. The last space games I played was Privateer, Wing Commander, and Freelancer. I know exactly how that feels. The game... I was never a big Wing Commander guy because at roughly the same time, the X-Wing and TIE Fighter games were out, and I was more of a Star Wars guy, so those were the games that I cut my teeth on as far as space sims. I did get a little bit of practice flying again on the MMO Star Wars Galaxies when they came out with the Jump to Lightspeed expansion, where, again, you were able to fly your ships, and in fact, some of their ships, you could say they were almost the precursor of what you can do in Star Citizen, which was basically get out of a seat and wander around a larger ship and man turrets and do those kind of things. That said, Jump to Lightspeed was nowhere near as ambitious as Star Citizen is. Oh, it's Legend with his dart gun. Oh no! Those Nerf darts, the most lethal weapons usable on Everest Harbor. Okay, Buccaneer. I still have no idea why I have 2 Buccaneers in my inventory. I mean, one's obviously a rental. I just have no idea why I have a second. I'm gonna go through the loaner checklist. Some of the starships have loaner ships associated with them. I just have a hard time figuring which one I have that would give a Buccaneer as the loaner. I know I didn't buy it in game. Ah, gotta bounce. Gotta do the real life thing. No problem there, Legend. Thanks for stopping by. Have fun in the real world. And while I'm heading to that extremely lengthy elevator ride, I'm going to update my currently flying indicator up top, which I spelled incorrectly. And nobody's perfect. And I'm far from it. Alright, here is the Drake bucket. Why is this landing gear not down? Oh! Okay, that was weird. Star Citizen, I love you. You're always full of surprises. The Buccaneer is a pretty muscular looking ship. It's got those two big engines on the sides there. And the big advantage it has are guns. Lots of them. Let's hop on board. And power everything on. Now, one thing I'm going to do right off the bat is I'm going to put all my guns on the same mouse key. I'm a mouse and keyboard flyer as opposed to dual sticks because old habits die hard. And we will take off, bring up the landing gear, and get rolling. Now, I want to bring your attention to the little section down here. You got a little section that says lock, targ, and auto. When I was on the Cutlass Blue, auto would basically do the auto gimbal targeting that we referred to earlier. If it were on targ, then the weapons would follow wherever my cursor happened to be on the screen at the time. I almost never use that. And then lock. And lock is the only one that you have available if you have no gimbals on. I'm going to do a quick vehicle loadout on the Buccaneer. And bring up the weaponry, and you'll see that unlike the Cutlass Blue, I have no vari-pucks. They are all the straight guns. Now what that means is that I gotta be pointing my ship at the target, as opposed to maybe not pointing the ship at the target and letting the gimbals kind of aim a bit at the targets. It is a very different style of combat, which I will demonstrate momentarily. Once again, we're going to grab one of the very high-risk targets because they pay better. And I like making the monies. And we are going to go to the moon of Aberdeen, which is appropriate because Aberdeen is where they tend to have the Klesher Rehabilitation Facility, the location where bad people go to jail. So in a very real sense, this is highly appropriate. If you happen to be a criminal in the game, meaning if you've got crime status, if a bounty hunter takes you out, you wind up in prison. Almost like real life, huh? Well, except of course the fact that you'll end up there where they blow you up as opposed to ending up, dead. Sooner or later, you will have more options available as far as that goes. Now, I don't think I have any recent experiences with Klesher on my Twitch channel right now. My YouTube channel has a number of archives of previous streams, and there are at least one or two that feature the Klesher Rehabilitation Facility, and one of them even features an escape attempt. Actually, I think I have a highlight on Twitch while I'm in the mine area of the prison. where I discover a hidden makeshift knife. Because you can't have a prison without having something to shiv people with. Okay, I'm still too far away. Let's get a little closer. With this last patch, sometimes you don't really end up near your target. You're like 20-some kilometers away, and you gotta close the distance. And to add insult to injury, sometimes once you close the distance, they still have not yet spawned in. But sometimes you get lucky, like now. Now you'll notice that since I have no gimbal assist rolling, I don't have that set of a dotted circle around my cursor, and certainly not the smaller one either.
Contact.
I do have the I can target by hitting the T button, so I know who I'm targeting. And you'll see that I have this kind of box-like symbol there. If I'm lined up properly on him where I can hit him, it'll change into a green one. And now that indicates that, theoretically, if I pull the trigger at that point in time, my shots will hit. It's not a perfect system, but then again, it should be. So we are flying against a Hurricane right now, which is a ship that's basically firing shotguns at me. It's skipping power in favor of more likely hits. So even a near miss will still get some damage on it. And the Hurricane can take a bit of punishment. Now you see, I'm just not having very good luck hitting this guy because I can't. Oh, almost missed. Well, looks like the near miss of mine was not the near miss of his. Looking at the damage on his ship, it looks like he impacted. Rough break, guy. And there he goes. How much is one ship, and is it expensive? Okay, this is where it gets down to differences between the game and life. This ship does have missiles. It's got 2 igniter missiles and 2 Tempest missiles. They're both size 2 missiles, so they're decent. They're roughly the same kind of missile. Torpedoes specifically are much bigger, and they go after. I got the Master License Tracker certification. We'll look into that momentarily. But back to the question of one ship. There are two basic methods of getting a ship in the game. One is with real life money. And if you're playing the game, you will have done it at least once, because you would need to buy a game package. And in order to buy a game package, it'll have a ship associated with it. And the cheapest packages are $45, although I think they're reduced by $5 during special events like Invictus. And they can go up dramatically. The most expensive ships are literally in the thousands of dollars, but they also tend to encompass the ships that are capital ship sized. We're talking things like Javelins and Krakens and other insanely huge starships that require multiple people to use effectively. However, and I always want to emphasize this fact, you do not need to pledge anything higher than the initial package, because you can buy almost every ship currently flyable in the game with in-game credits. Now the downside of that is this is an alpha, which means occasionally they will do wipes of the database, so anything you buy within in-game will go away. That's just the nature of being an alpha. They'll do the same thing when it goes to beta too, someday in the far distant future. But they have not done a wipe for over a year now. There were some people predicting that the next big patch would have a wipe because they were going to be doing something with personal inventory. But personal inventory has been kind of pushed aside right now, so who knows when the next wipe will happen. Now, as far as the ship prices, in the game, I mean, as opposed to, in the real life shop, as far as credits go, there's actually two ways to go about getting a ship in the game. You can rent a ship. You can rent it for a day, or 3 days, or 7 days, or a month. Obviously, the longer you rent, the more expensive it becomes. Why is this guy not pulling up? Oh, he's a Miss Freelancer. That's why. They're tough. But you can rent a ship for substantially less than it costs to purchase the ship outright. Hey, that was my target guy. Ah, good. I did get him as a target. Who is this guy? No biggie. Let's hop out of here so that I can get to a more comfortable position. You know what? Actually, I have a better method. How about I go land at Hurston and show you where you can buy your ships here? And that way you can see exactly how much various ships cost in-game. Let's see, I forgot to mention you also play Eve. Ah! Eve. I played Eve for about a year. I was basically killing time between my disenchantment with Star Wars Galaxies and waiting for Star Trek Online to happen. So I spent some time in Eve Online. So I definitely understand the game. Renting is more economical, but it does have its disadvantages. If you rent a ship, you're using stock equipment, meaning whatever shield the ship comes with, you're using. You cannot improve that shield by buying a better shield. If you own the ship, you can do whatever you want to the ship. Well, as long as it'll fit the various hardpoints and the like. You're not going to be able to fit a capital ship-sized shield on a small fighter, for example. That's not going to happen. Yeah, Eve's player economy is pretty much the king of player economies, honestly. I haven't seen anything that comes close these days. We are now approaching Lorville, the landing zone of the planet Hurston. Named for Hurston Dynamics, a major arms manufacturer. They are kind of hard on their workers. They don't sell any weapons here aside from their ship weapons. Probably because they don't want to have an uprising where all the workers grab their guns and start shooting them. I'm not saying they oppress their workers, but I might be heavily implying it. The Hurston Dynamics building, incidentally, is that building up here on the left, and it is freaking huge. I mean, I'm kind of wondering how it manages to stay intact without collapsing under its own weight. Okay, while I'm on my approach, I better get my communications up because I'm going to need to get permission to land. Anytime now. There we go. And I'll slow it down a bit here so that I'm not overshooting and turning into a fireball at the end of the trip. They will open their surface hangar doors. I'll drop my landing gear and hope that it works. And we're going to slow down on our approach. Now, that looks like an awful small place to fit your fighter in. It kind of is. But the good news is, it is a small fighter, so it will have no problem fitting in there as long as I don't do something really silly like, I don't know, scrape the front end of my ship against the side. And I should be able to do the auto land from here. There we go. Hurston has a very big industrial cheek to it. It looks like a mining city, which is not surprising since that's one of the main reasons why they bought Hurston in the first place.
Landing complete. Have a pleasant stay.
Now, we were talking about third person earlier. This also applies to individuals. You can do third person views of your character as well as your ship. And just like with the ship, you can technically fight with the third person view, but it's not really a good idea. I don't have any of my guns out right now because there's been a bug that's been going around that's been posing equipment upon login, and I'm tired of losing my weaponry, so I just don't have any of it equipped. The Tisa spaceport is a very different look than the spaceport at New Babbage. New Babbage kind of gives you the feeling of, hi, this is what happens if Apple and Google had a baby. On the other hand, Lorville is, well, much like this. Now over here we've got this little area called Vantage Rentals. And I'm hoping that it is working like it normally does. Yes, it is, thank heavens, because I'd have felt pretty stupid if it was acting the same way as the rental shop over at Babbage right now. Because, you know, free flight, free rentals, and free rentals would not help in trying to show the general range of purchase here. Easy example. The Avenger Titan. If I rent it for 1 day, it would cost 15,000 UEC. Now, to put in proper perspective, you can probably make 8,000 UEC doing one delivery mission. You'd be delivering 3 boxes, but at the end you would be paid 8,000 UEC. So right there, that would be halfway to the cost of renting the Titan for a day. This is a pretty small ship, though, but it does have the advantage of having a decent cargo bay and being able to fight decently, too. Now, if you wanted to go with something a little more industrial, perhaps... I thought they had them here. I guess they don't. How about here? No. Okay, looks like they're primarily fighters here. If you wanted to do a light fighter, like... yeah, you can rent the Aegis for doing a transportation job. If you're talking about for transporting people or for boxes, the answer to both of those is yes. And Aegis is the manufacturer. Aegis Aerodynamics. Aegis Dynamics. I was throwing Aero on the top of it. You can put boxes in the back, or you can have people just stand around back there. Right now, as the game stands right now, life support is not really a thing yet. I think they might be looking to do that later this year, where they will start being more restrictive, shall we say, with how many people can be on board your ship without having little troubles with oxygen. Can you hire NPC crew members? Not yet. It is on their radar, which is to say that's what they intend somewhere along the line. That you can hire NPCs to man certain stations on your ship. They're also talking about some of the stations on your ship being slave to an AI blade, which would allow the AI to do stuff. I think the intent here is that the AI blades are not as good as NPC hires, which are not as good as actual players. Was the biggest ship I rented? That's a good question. I think the 600i, I think, is the biggest I've rented. I think it might be slightly larger than the Constellation series. And since I'm speaking of the Constellation series, let me go over here to New Deal. Because earlier we were talking about the price of purchasing the ship. The largest I've driven? The largest one I've driven is the 890 Jump Space Yacht. Although the Reclaimer, I guess, is kind of close too. They're roughly the same size, but I think the Reclaimer is actually more massive in the very literal sense, as in it weighs a lot more, because it's a huge salvaging ship. Okay. Purchasing power. for the cheapest ships available, and in this case it would be RSI. If you got the Aurora ES, which I can't imagine why anybody would buy one of these, but I suppose it could happen, would cost 124,000 credits. That is not as hard as it sounds to get to. Now, if you wanted to go for more of a mid-sized ship, like say the Misk Freelancer, that would cost you a little over 1.5 million credits. If you were looking for one of the big boys, like say the 890 Jump that we were just mentioning, this clocks in at a massive 32 million credits. So you've got a pretty wide range in the things you can purchase in the game. And these are just the space vehicles. Yeah, that's the luxury ship. I mean, the 600i, that's a decent luxury ship. But the 890 is the luxury ship. Now, it would also be remiss if I did not mention that you could also purchase land vehicles, like the Tumbril Cyclone here. And yeah, I know it looks kind of funny on this display. For some reason, things don't necessarily render perfectly. There we go. They don't render quite perfectly on this viewer, but it's enough to get you an idea of what it looks like. And depending on where, let's see, do we have it here? You can also rent, for example, purchase. Must keep the purchase-rent distinction in mind. Here, you can pick up an Anvil Ballista for 364,000 credits, and what this is basically an anti-aircraft platform. You can't see it on this thing, but this bed in the back here has a bunch of really big missiles. This thing is designed to take out incoming aircraft, or incoming spacecraft, so to speak. And recently introduced was the Tumbril Nova, which is, not to put too fine a point on it, a tank. And I mean military tank with a rotating big gun barrel and everything. I was doing a little bit of that last week. Well, technically it was last Wednesday. And it is rather fun. But since it is brand new, you cannot yet buy it with in-game credits. Yeah, they do have a tank. In fact, it just came out on last week. It just was released. I don't think I have it. I don't think I have it right now. But you know what? We can take a quick hop over to New Babbage, and I can rent one out, and we'll take a quick look at it. We'll wrap the day up with tank flying entertainment. Okay, let's see. I still have that over at Everest, don't I? Yeah, I do have it at Everest. Might as well go there. We'll stop at Everest first then. But yeah, it's got a pretty potent gun there. What me and a couple of my org mates were doing, we were trying being really crazy with that thing. What we did was we loaded it onto one of the new Hercules Star Lifter starcraft. Let's try that again. Star Lifter. I speak English good. And what we wanted to do was we wanted to drop them off at one of the space stations and see if we could pick off people approaching the space stations. That part didn't work. Wrong hanger. Oops. That part didn't work. So I ended up having a tank floating in space. And someone flew a snub fighter by my cannon, and I kind of blew him up with it. So, one shot. So those tanks. What have I done? What have I done? Get back in. I knew I wasn't paying attention. And hello, Cap. How are you doing today? And Cap has the right answer as far as retrieving ships. You can get a ship back that's blown up for no cost, but if you want to get it fast, you can expedite it for a certain amount of credits. Now that said, sometimes expedite will not help you as much as you would like. If you're going to pay the credits to expedite it, you want to get it to the point where it's instant. Unfortunately, the big boys still require time even if you expedite it. So my recommendation is if you try to claim something that's big, wait long enough for the expedite timer to go down to instant, and then pay to expedite. Don't expedite too soon. Yeah, it's more fun if you can have your own base. Well, you know, that is one of the things that are on the list of things to do for CIG. However, the bad news is it's not high on the list of things to do. I don't want to turn off the power. I want to get my communications online. There we go.
You are clear to launch.
Gotta wait for those doors to open up, or otherwise my takeoff is going to be awfully short. Anyway, Cap, I'm getting ready to head over to New Babbage after a quick layover at Everest to pick up a ship that will get me there faster. And I am going to go ahead and grab a Nova tank and show that off a little bit before we call it a day. So we're going to go a little longer than usual today because tanks are cool. So up we go. Now, it'd be one of the little hazards of the quantum drive is that you cannot use it if you're too low in the atmosphere. So you gotta go to a certain altitude before you can use your quantum drive. On Hurston, that distance is 9 kilometers. And while I'm climbing, I'm going to target my location. The good news is that Everest is pretty much in geosynchronous orbit, so it doesn't move around much. Here we are. Oh yeah, you got it. Yeah, you do have to eat and drink in the game now. They put that in some months back, and I like it. I mean, it's not. I know a lot of people were griping about it when they first announced it, but honestly, I don't need to worry about it half the time. By the time I get down to dangerous levels, I'm usually probably already dead for some reason or another. Usually because I get involved with helping with criminal activity. In-game criminal activity. Let's be specific. Anyone from the NSA monitoring the stream, that was not real life. So, I'm in the Armistice Zone. Any moment now, I should get the contact from the air traffic control. Yeah, close. Close enough. Give me a landing bay.
Proceed to assigned landing bay.
And it is. Oh, it's actually in a convenient spot for once. That never happens. And I should also take into account the fact that I don't know how my brakes are on this ship, so let's play it a little more carefully. We'll just set it down.
Is at 75%. Landing complete.
Landing complete. Doesn't say.
Icons on the ship are so small. Well, some of them are kind of small. You can zoom in on them, which helps. But it takes getting used to sometimes. Okay, running to the elevator. Pad 1. Odds are I'm not going to be on Pad 1 for very long. The replacement vessel will not be that small. So we're going to take the, once again, 5-kilometer trip. Hey, 5 kilometers in 30 seconds. That's pretty good. You can complain about how slow the elevator is, but it really isn't. It's just that the distance is so long. And actually, I'm not 100. Oh, this might actually be shorter. Yeah, this is only 3 kilometers for that pad. Awesome. Okay, well we're going to take a step off and take the Mercury Star Runner to go back to New Babbage. And I might as well go update that. Pad 6. Now this one will be 5 kilometers. Oh, no, it's not actually. They put me close by. I'm not used to this. We're going to get to the pad a lot sooner than I expected. Mercury Star Runner is a personal favorite of mine. Let's open up the door here, which actually has a door access button. And close it up. Get some lights on it here. I saw one of the ship tours of that. Yeah, this is a big favorite of mine. Its primary gameplay does not yet exist, but it does pretty well with a lot of other things, so it's good enough as far as I'm concerned. There are some people who would tell you that if Han Solo had a starship in Star Citizen, this would be that. Although, to be fair, given the character of Han Solo, he would be flying a Cutlass Black, most likely. This would be the ship he would want to fly. And I think we're done with the in-game chat. It sounds like it's degenerating again.
Crusader Industries, a journey worth taking.
I am a big fan of Star Runner design. I am using a non-standard paint job on this. There was a paint job that was made available during the St. Patrick's Day holiday here, and I liked it, so I picked it up.
Engage. Quantum travel complete.
Yeah, it occurred to me that I wasn't actually pointing to the area that I wanted to go. If only I had a brain. Yeah, it's a great design. It changed a little bit from the original concept,
Quantum travel engage.
and I do kind of regret that a bit because I really liked the concept design, but it didn't change too much. Once I get the quantum drive rolling here, we'll take a look at the exterior again.
Quantum travel engage.
See, the original design, what they did was they had in between those two engines, the two slanted engines, they had this really big engine in the center, and would be covering a portion of where that ramp is. It does have a lot of doors, and it does not close automatically. Well, the door thing actually can be worked around. What you can do is you can lock the doors open. So, and I know a couple people who are thrilled by that because they hate going to the doors and having to wait for them all to open and close. So the sensors are working now, where you can turn off the sensors and basically open the door and it won't close again. That said, heaven help you if you should, open your ramp and out in space and vent the entire ship. That could become inconvenient later. Then again, most people never take off their spacesuits anyway, so it probably wouldn't be that big a deal. The ship was also a little bit leaner, perhaps, up in the front end. And I don't know if that the turrets were quite as obtrusive in the original design. I gotta double check. But all the same, I'm a fan of the ship. When data running gets into the game someday, the distant future, then this ship is really going to stand out. Another ship that'll stand out will be the Drake Herald, which really needs the data running to actually have a reason to exist. I always feel bad when it comes to the folks who have the Drake Herald, because it's in the game now, they can fly it, but you can't really fight in it. It's hard to do cargo in it. Its main gameplay doesn't exist yet. I feel bad for him. And it seems to me that it would not be horribly difficult to implement a primitive data running kind of thing into the game. But, as usual, I was not consulted. Do I think it would be better if they put more lights on the outer part of the ship? Yeah, I think it would probably help in the shadow areas. I mean, if nothing else, I would like to see some lights up. I can't do the zoom there. I'd like to see it over on the fuselage, where they have the name of the ship. If you pledged for the ship, for this ship at any rate, you were able to name it. So, and it would show up on the fuselage. You can't really see it. There we go. Once it's in the light, you can see the name. Kind of. The paint job doesn't do the black lettering any justice. But when I think of lighting, I think of the early Star Trek movies, where they would have spotlights on the ship illuminating a lot of those important details, like the name of your ship. That is. Here we are. And I would like to see that a bit more.
Quantum travel engaged.
And maybe we will. I mean, as well designed as the ships are in the game, you still can't consider them 100% finished until they reach beta. And even then, they might decide to do a rework. I think the Constellation series of starships, for example, have undergone a couple reworks. I know the Freelancer went through one. Where will I go now? What is my mission? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to land here at New Babbage. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the DrakeCon Center, or more accurately, their hangar. And I'm going to rent one of those tanks that I mentioned. And then we're going to go to really anywhere I can spawn the tank and show it off a little bit. So, as far as official mission right now, no official mission. This is more along the lines of, hey, let's show that off, because I'm only going to have access to it for another couple days anyway, so. Once the DrakeCon is over, all those brand new hotness starships and tanks, they will be unavailable to anybody unless you pledged for them during this event, or if you previously pledged for them. they will eventually be purchasable in-game, but I'm predicting that it will be at least November before they do. Alright, coming in for a landing. I always try to get in these things in the third-person view. I'm fully cognizant of the fact that sometimes I fail, and for large ships, I tend to go to the third-person view because I don't trust myself. Yep, I'm bouncing on the left-hand side. I had a feeling I was a little too far. Go to the auto land and get myself in a decent spot.
Landing complete. Engine
Excellent.
systems off.
Landing complete. Have a pleasant stay.
Okay, off to the back. Yeah, I was talking about the sensors earlier. Why don't I do that? Sensors off. So now, and do that for this too. So now you'll see neither of these doors have closed. So I can just bypass all these doors entirely and not have to worry about them opening and closing. Cooler if there's add a base transmission or communication between you and the spaceport. Well, you know, kind of do. It's the problem is that the Mercury has a bug with its communication software, I guess, for lack of a better phrase, because I was honestly amazed to hear them thank me for and telling me to have a nice stay here, because I usually don't even hear that when I arrive at this one. You know what? Maybe I'll do 2 for the price of 1 on this sentence. Yeah, why don't I do 2 for the price of 1? We'll head over to the elevators here. I really didn't need this large of a docking bay. And go back to the new Babbage Spaceport Terminal. I feel like I've gone full circle. Okay. Drake Interplanetary. Those defenders of personal freedom everywhere. Oh, I can't say that with a straight face either. Are having their own convention because they weren't invited to Invictus. They don't have any military contracts. They sell to private militias. And it's possible that a number of, shall we say, less than law-abiding citizens buy most of their starships. So, yeah, I like to think that Microtech, and New Babbage in particular, is what would happen if Apple and Google had a baby. This is what their store would look like. Well, not this, because there's a hangar bay. And over here they have all the Drake starships being displayed. But the important thing here is this rental terminal. Because unlike the rental terminal over at Lorville, everything you rent here is free. So we're going to scroll down to Tumbrel and rent. Oh, somebody lied to me. Someone lied to me. They told me that everything was rentable here. I was deceived. I am very disappointed, guys. They went through...
You exceeded the allotted time to depart.
You can rent anything, my foot. And I don't even see Crusader on here either. Oh, this is just betrayal.
Safety, please vacate the area.
Either that or somebody realized that they'd put non-military stuff on here and got... Well, no, it's because they still have that here too. Oh, that hurts. Okay, looks like there's not going to be any tank showdown here after all.
Initiating ship storage procedure.
Oh, this is just
For your safety, please vacate
betrayal.
your cooperation.
I was taunted with the possibility of being able to rent everything, but they lied. Or perhaps not all understandings were made. Oh well, you win some and you lose some. Alright, well, I think that's probably as good a place as any to wrap things up for the afternoon here. I hope you enjoyed the stream today here at Drake Defense Con, where we were able to take a look at a bunch of their ships, fly a bunch of their ships, well, fly a couple of their ships that I don't fly very often due to a large assortment of reasons. Got to see whether or not the Buccaneer was really all that, which it is. Got to see that the Cutlass Blue was pretty effective all by itself. And basically just bummed around the standing system blowing ships up. I will be streaming next week War Star Citizen back to what we laughingly refer to as normal at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern to approximately 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern. Again, depends on whether or not anything else is going on at the time. I also stream Star Trek Online on Wednesday nights at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern to approximately 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern. Again, with the whole question of whether or not I've got things going on or not. Thank you all very much for watching, whether you're watching live or later on off of Twitch or YouTube. I really appreciate it. If you haven't followed, feel free to follow. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. This is Korath Landwalker, signing off.